Let the record show that all board members are here in attendance, including Ms. Myers, who is virtual tonight. Dr. Murillo.
Mr. Tripp. At this time, Ms. Lehan is going to open up our special board meeting with the proposed tax levy information. Ms. Lehan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening, Board of Directors. Today, we are here to hold a public hearing on our initial fiscal year 26 budget. The Iowa legislature passed House File 718 during the 23 legislative session, which changed many parts of the property taxation process. One of the more prominent changes was an annual statement mailed to each owner that had a residential home with taxable property. Many of you received one last March and again this March. This is an example of the statement that you would have received. This statement provided information aimed at educating taxpayers on the school, city, and county budgets. The statement has 3 sections, with one of them showing the school's current property tax rate in comparison to the proposed tax rate. Our proposed tax rate shows us increasing from 15.97 this year to 16.15 per 1,000 taxable valuation. Again, this is our maximum property tax value. Here it shows the property tax levy rate that has been in existence since 2015. So it shows we had an incline and then we progressively declined. Here's the maximum proposed property tax levy that was shown in the paper and on our social media and website. This is the statement that shows the 3 columns. And it shows the 15.97, which we are currently at this year, as well as the 15.96, which is the effective tax rate, which is a calculation that is done by the county that is required by the state. And then you will see on fiscal year 26, we have a tax levy of the 16.15, which shows. The district cannot go over the maximum property tax dollars, which is provided on this statement when we do our public hearing on April 22nd. With the 2% SSA rate that was just put into place, it puts us into a budget guarantee. And with that budget guarantee, you'll see if enrollment declines in the district, our new state aid is very low, the increase in funding to the district may be less than 1%. Legislation allows the district a 1% increase over the prior year if approved by the board. The budget guarantee is a budget adjustment, bringing regular program funding to 101% of the previous fiscal year's regular program funding. The purpose of the budget adjustment is to give districts some time to adjust expenditures to account for reductions in funding. Property taxes are automatically levied in this case. And on a 2%, the amount would be 0.2669 cents per thousand. Here are some of the uses of our funding sources. The general fund we use for staff salary and benefits, curriculum and programs, textbooks, supplies and materials, transportation, and utilities. Our PEPL fund is used for things such as building and grounds improvements and repairs, equipment, technology. Management fund, we use that for property and casualty insurance. We expect a 4 to 6% increase on that. Workers' compensation, we also are expecting an increase. Break fix insurance goes through our management fund, as well as early retirement and unemployment. The final budget will be adopted following the second public hearing on April 22nd. So now that we know the SSA rate that was decided and set by the governor, we will be able to plan the rest of our budget. So, thank you.
Questions from the board?
Just kind of for clarification, we've talked about this, but kind of more for the public also. We talked a little bit about the rate because we have to do this approval every year. And I seem to remember that last year, the rate that we were setting at was less than the previous year, but not that much of a dip compared to what we saw, correct?
Yep. That one?
Yeah, because I seem to remember, I don't remember the exact number, but I remember last year when we had talked about this, it was roughly about the same as in
Yeah.
23, 24.
Yeah, on hearing number one last year, we also had a 16 point, and I can't remember the exact, it might have been 242, but it was around the same rate last
Yeah.
year for our hearing number one. Again, at that time, we didn't know the SSA rate at that time as well.
Yes, yeah, and that was a big piece.
Yep.
What was the SSA rate last year?
Last year, it was 2.5.
Yeah.
Okay, and now it's 2.
Yes. And the year before that, it was 3%.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that was just something that I remembered, but wanted to make sure it wasn't crazy.
But because of our enrollment going down, we're only guaranteed 1%.
Right. And there's over 150 districts in the state of Iowa that are on budget guarantee.
Yeah, so over half the school districts in the state, yeah, are
Yep.
at that 1%. Yeah. Thank you. That was my only question.
Thank you, Ms. Lehan. Unfortunately, due to regulation, there is no public comment at this particular public hearing, but there will be at the following one in April, on April 22nd. So if some of you are here for public comment, please come back to the next meeting on the 22nd. It's just due to statutory regulation, we just don't have that. But, hold on. There will be public comment available if you stay for the actual meeting, just not during this public hearing. So we'll close, and when we reopen our actual meeting, you'll be welcome to come up and speak, okay? Yet today, yes. All right, anything else? Thank you, Ms. Lehan. All right, and I now close this public hearing. All right, we have 7 minutes.
That meeting will begin at 6:30.
Didn't Mom Spit work on everything?
I thought it did. I tried that. It didn't do it.
Yes, it does. Much to the chagrin of the kiddos, right? Oh my God, he's getting so big. Oh. I love that picture. That hair, did you show that to Dr. Miller? Because her grandson's hair is crazy
Really?
curly like that too.
Are you hiding from us, or are you?
So do you want to
you
know
ill?
about, do you want to know about my personal health history or what?
David, I do. Are you ill? Are you?
Well, thank you for asking about it, but yes, I
Do you
am not
remember
feeling
who I
well.
am? Do you recognize me?
No, I don't.
Jim Mauer, Dave.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm asking. I can't believe you don't recognize me. I just saw.
a single project, as opposed to in the past, we've kind of kept them separate to try to help with pricing and schedule and things like that. So the first one is Thomas Jefferson. There's a large energy recovery ventilator that provides fresh air to one of the wings of the school. It's a rather large unit. It's at end of useful life from just a typical life expectancy, and it's got a refrigerant leak, and there's some other components that are going bad. In lieu of repairing, it's got old obsolete refrigerants, so there's just a lot of reasons to go ahead and replace it. So we've got a couple options we've looked at from a replacement standpoint, and we're going to work to get the best, most cost-effective option that meets all of their needs there. So I kind of hit on a couple of these already. It also sits above corridors that then goes out, and it's a very loud unit, very rumbly loud sound, so we're going to try to resolve that as part of this as well. So this is the opinion of cost we've put together. Obviously, with some changes in the economy right now, those things are not necessarily reflected in this, but we will work to navigate those in the most effective way possible. And hopefully by packaging and letting the schedule be prolonged, that'll help. A lot of times in the past, we've tried to cram all these projects into the summer, and that does raise costs because everyone else is doing that too. So with some of these challenges with the summer piece, by extending the schedule, hopefully we get some better labor costs. And we'll just have to navigate shutdowns and coordinate that well with the facilities and, try to find those critical paths with shutdowns and things of that nature. So that's where we're at right now. This also includes commissioning and controls integration. So there was that big project a number of years ago that added that master kind of overhead control system that gives us a lot more options for open bidding on the controls. So those actually include the cost to do that integration into that main platform as well. Okay, then on Rue Elementary, there's actually 3 components or 3 units that are on the roof. So there's one that serves the gym. So there's an ERV with a wheel that does fresh air, energy recovery, and then it provides fresh air to the heat pumps, which do the cooling and heating for the space. The ERV's failed. It's not a large unit necessarily, but if you got to get a crane to come out and replace that unit, the other units are well past useful life and not in the greatest of condition either. So we're going to go ahead and replace those all as one project. And at that point, Rue, all the rooftop equipment will have been updated over the last 3-ish years. And so that school is going to be in pretty good shape going forward. And so this is kind of a reflection of some of the issues. As with the other one, it's got obsolete refrigerant as well. So there's just no use in kind of repairing and keeping those things running. So again, this is a reflection of cost. On this one, we'll probably look to try to integrate into 2 units instead of 3 components on the roof. So you'll have more of a package. Everything will have its own wheel. We'll eliminate some rooftop ductwork. Just be a cleaner installation, easier to repair in the future, modify in the future. So that's where we're heading with this one. This also includes the commissioning and controls integration as well. So with the combined aspect of this is the schedule we're looking at. Again, I've laid out, construction beginning on July 1st once we get all our drawing packages and get out to bid and all of that, with a year-long construction schedule. And then again, we'll go through and make sure we're coordinating with the contractors to when that work will be done. But we're kind of going to let them work some of those schedule components too, and we'll try to highlight within our specifications like, hey, these are the items we need to really tightly have coordinated. And so that's kind of how we'll work with them to develop the best schedule and get the best cost on the project. Any questions?
Just a couple quick questions. So both of these, it's mentioned it was within the 19-year lifespan. Sorry. And you mentioned that the coolant that's used, that it's considered obsolete.
Yeah.
Is that something that's been obsolete for a while, to where it should have been moved up in the master schedule, or is that I don't know anything about HVAC systems, so.
So just because it's obsolete doesn't mean it's not available.
Mm-hmm.
It's just becoming harder and harder to get. It's a scarcity issue. And so a lot of these, like when there's an issue or a leak, if it's something that's a sizable leak or requires an expensive cost, then there's a cost of, okay, is the unit worth repairing, or is it better to go ahead and replace it?
Mm-hmm.
And so given we're at that 19-year span, they're not in the greatest of shape.
Yeah.
At this point, it's better to go ahead and replace. And there's a lot of those units right now across the district, and so it's just going to be something that we'll have to balance and weigh out as we go forward.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, was if there were more of these that were still in the district.
Yeah, we just got to balance the repair costs versus, how much life is left. And yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Do you have an idea of how long these units would then last?
So typically it does depend on the type of unit. So on a water source, like units like these, typically it's about, for a rooftop piece of equipment, it's anywhere between 15 to 19 years, 20 years roughly. So ASHRAE's kind of averaged is 19. They have ASHRAE's a big society that does heating, refrigeration, air conditioning, and they've over the years cataloged from different folks like how long equipment lasts. So those are pretty reasonable numbers to plan about 19 to 20 years on the long end, and a well-maintained unit will last a lot longer in theory. So
Okay, yeah, and so like it'll be a different refrigerant that'll be used, and will that become obsolete? Like, how does that work?
So eventually, yes, we're actually in the middle of a big refrigerant changeover right now across the industry. So for a long time, so after R22, which is what these have, it was R410A typically for these types of units, sometimes R134, 123. There's a couple of options that were there. Most of the district is R410A if they don't have R22. Right now, we're in the midst of the next change, which is either R454B or R32. Manufacturers are kind of divvying that up between how they want to do it. So a lot of the more Asian manufacturers are going towards R32. More of the American ones are R454B, which is actually a blend of a couple of them. There are some challenges in the industry we're facing on that right now because the new refrigerants are slightly flammable, which sounds scarier than it probably is in my opinion. But these are on the roofs, so that won't matter. But there will be another phase out probably in 15 years. And again, it's not that they won't be available. It'll just be, they'll stop manufacturing it. There'll be some for storage.
So the refrigerants will probably last the lifetime of
Yeah,
the units,
it'll
and we
extend
won't, okay,
past the life of the unit.
okay.
Is the equipment readily available in the U.S. now without having to go to the Asian market, the Chinese market? That'll change our cost tremendously.
Yeah, it's going to vary. So that's where we don't know. There's a lot of American-made equipment that's readily available, but still parts might be sourced from other places. So we have a handful, like Aeon's one that we've put a lot in lately. Like those qualify under the American Made Act. Like it does vary. There's a lot of different manufacturers out there. That's actually something that I've been working with John's team on. Of like, hey, there's some other manufacturers that the district hasn't used in the past. Let's get those manufacturers in, and we'll evaluate them on a case-by-case basis. What we think's a good one, and what we think's not. And yeah, it's going to vary quite a bit. And obviously, we haven't seen any of those changes yet. In pricing. It'll be a little bit of time for that to shake out. But yeah, we'll try to move fast and get pricing locked down where we can. early.
Amen. Thank you.
Yep.
You talked about the noise associated with the ERV at TJ. Have you been able to isolate whether it's just an air noise or is it more of a mechanical noise that's transmitting through the structure?
I think it's a little bit of both, frankly. I mean, it's more of a rumbly or a lower noise, which is typically more of a vibration from the equipment. So
You can take care of that with
with the
vibration
equipment.
isolation.
Yeah, and then
curbs
we'll
and
examine the
so-
ductwork piece of
Right.
it to see if we need to enlarge anything. Obviously, the more we get into that, the more cost prohibitive that can be. So we may have to look at like building the curb up a little bit and putting the ductwork within the curb. So there's some options there. The curb that unit sits on is actually quite large, and so that gives us some flexibility to help manage that.
Sorry, I have one more question. This is related, I know, sorry, I'm coming back, related to the timeline that was there. Are there any concerns with, the school still operating in that fashion while repairs and changes are being made, possibly having to rely on different units for a longer period of time, and any breakdown? Are there any concerns at this point?
So right now, like ERV2 is a larger unit with a couple of sets of compressors. It serves heat pumps that have their own cooling and heating as well. So it's just that fresh air piece that it tries to really dry it out. So it's got some aspect of the unit working. So we made it through winter where it was really cold and we didn't have any major complaints there. So I think we're comfortable there. And then on RU, it's kind of the same thing. Frankly, we got 2 independent units plus the energy recovery piece. It seems to have managed it just fine. I think right now we have time in the schedule to extend it out. Obviously there's going to be some that come up that's just a failure. We've got to jump on it right away.
Yeah.
Currently, these are not of that nature where it has to move right now.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And now I will open up for the public, anybody that wants to come and speak regarding specifically the HVAC that was presented. Please, come on up. Yep.
Well, I do have a couple of questions, and One, it's kind of hard to call the refrigerant obsolete. It is outdated, but there are also many replacements available. And I'm very concerned, even though he didn't seem to be, about putting in units with flammable refrigerant. He said it's on the roof, it doesn't matter, but the problem is, would you say, what, 90% of the Freon leaks, or, well, probably 70, 80% are evaporators, and if you have a leak in the evaporator, it's going to just blow it right in the building. So, it is these are federally approved, et cetera, refrigerants, but it does tremendously scare me, just overall. By the way, I was in the business for 45 years roughly, and have retired recently. Kind of like the old guy over there, Dave. Only I was in Dallas and he was in Council Bluffs, so. That's my main concerns with that, plus I don't know how many bids y'all normally get on stuff like that, but there weren't many details. Do you have more specs? Do you have tonnages? Do you have, I mean, just a bid, oh, it's old, it's tired, we think it'd be cheaper to replace. It'll be 600,000,
All that information would come out at the second meeting. There'll be a second
the
public hearing.
22nd on that meeting. And then another thing of concern is manufacture isn't really foreign on these units. There are a lot of foreign owners of the companies, but there is probably everything you would ever need still made here in the USA. There are going to be a few components of that unit that could be foreign made, but most everything in there, the important big stuff, is going to be made here. Just FYI, unless something changed in the last year. Yeah, I mean, there's some, probably, I would say probably more small parts, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's going to vary depending on the piece of equipment. Like every different manufacturers will have different aspects.
So you're really not buying, for example, a lot of people don't know it, but the Ruud and Rheem company was purchased by a Japanese owner in like 1988, but they are still made in, I believe, is it Arkansas? So they're still a U.S. manufactured. Daikin, which is also Goodman, Amana, is Japanese owned since like 2014 or 16, maybe a little before that. And they're still made in Houston. They've got a huge manufacturing plant. To my knowledge, Lennox is still made here. I mean, pretty much everything. I mean, they didn't end, just because a lot of these companies were sold out internationally, they did not end manufacture here. So,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
thank you.
Yeah, well, I can address that more.
No, that's okay. No.
Good evening. My name is James Wassel. I live on 22nd and F, Avenue F. I'm a father of 2 children, 26 years old. I came here because I noticed, I understand that we might need to raise the taxation rate.
James, just a second. If you're going to speak about the taxes, you have to wait until the next meeting. This is specifically about the HVAC. By next meeting, I mean, as soon as we close this, we'll have another meeting.
Refrigerant?
Refrigerant. I just, not to interrupt you, but if you want to speak about refrigerant, please.
I can say a few words about refrigerant.
You don't have to.
I mean, we had our AC go out last summer. It got pretty hot in the house, but we managed. I mean, air conditioning was invented in, the 30s, and before then, what were people doing? They were just sweating it out. It probably builds character in some of the kids. And just speaking from a discipline perspective in the schools, there's a lack of discipline in the children. And sometimes pain and suffering builds that discipline, regardless of what other parents might think. But yeah, that quote was a bit out there. So that's all I have to say.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak about the HVAC system?
Well, I don't know very much about air conditioning, but I do know about refrigerant. And the refrigerant I'm referring to is, how much is this going to cost us individually as the people paying for it? That's my question.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak regarding this public hearing? Seeing as there is none, I now close this, oh, go ahead.
I'm away.
All right,
Be
sorry,
patient
sorry,
now.
didn't see
We
it.
live in a big city. Yeah, my question is, if you don't have kids in school, why should we be involved in having to pay these extra taxes? Because when our kids was in school, we was not able to get them on the buses or nothing. We was not quite far enough from school. So that's how good a service we've, had with our schools.
Okay, thank you.
Well, you don't have an answer for that?
We're not allowed to answer. It's not a, this is not a public forum, because unless it's on the agenda, we cannot discuss matters. And if we have an open forum, it could go off agenda. So that's why you can speak to us, but we can't speak back to you. Anything further from the public regarding the HVAC systems? Thank you. I now close this meeting.
Yeah, some's just mildly, phasing into is mildly refrigerant, support a flame. It extinguishes itself because it is the flammable portion. So, I mean, we can talk about it.
I now call to order the regular workshop meeting of the Council Bluffs Community School.
Gotcha.
Mrs. Strowski, please call our roll.
Mr. Kazire.
Present.
Mrs. Greiner. Present. Ms. Hardeman.
Here?
Ms. Myers.
Here.
Dr. Ozello.
Present.
Mr. Peters.
Here.
Mr. Tripp.
Here. If you would all please rise, join me in a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
I will second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding tonight's agenda? Seeing as there is none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Next up, we have approval of the minutes for the work session and workshop business meetings of March 11th, 2025. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approve the minutes from the work session and workshop business meeting of March 11th, 2025, as it is presented.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding the minutes? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. And the motion carries. Minutes are approved. Now brings us to our public participation portion of our meeting. This is an opportunity for members of the public to address the board regarding agenda items or any other matters of concern. We do have a 3-minute time limit per person, and we will start with Preston Vorthman, as you have made a request to be up here early.
Is there an agenda list that we need to sign somewhere, because I'm not on it?
No, that's okay.
Okay, how do you know our name that you're calling me? I'm just asking the question.
I had emailed previously.
Yeah, just that he called in previous to the meeting. Yeah.
So everybody will be...
Everybody will be allowed to their opportunity, correct.
Thank you.
Preston.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Preston Worthman. I teach at 8th grade science at Wilson Middle School, and I was the CBEA chief negotiator for this round of negotiations this year. The other members of our team were Rini Champion, Rachel Shanks, Ryan Lutz, and Sarah Dressel. We'd like to thank Julie Foster, Zach Pope, and Kelly Fisher for their willingness to hear our proposal and to negotiate in good faith on behalf of the board. We were able to work together in the best interest of staff and students. The CBEA negotiations team is happy with the outcome. The CBEA has and will continue to advocate for teachers as we work with CBCSD to be a great place for students to learn and for teachers to work. This contract is a good step in that direction and addressed several members' concerns. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing your discussion tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we'll take it one at a time. If you guys can be orderly by any means, hands raised will work for me. You, sir, with the hat.
We'll be doing the time
Okay,
for you.
Diane will have a timer. You have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your address before you speak.
Okay. David Snyder, 18198 Sunnydale Road, Council Bluffs, 51503. I'm here to be in opposition to the letter that I received. I was an executive in a major corporation here in Council Bluffs for 48 years, in charge of budgets every year for tens of millions of dollars. And when I got this letter that says that your student attendance or your students are reduced, that made me think of my business world. Now, I realize children are not a business item, and I realize that clearly. But what I am saying that I think all of you in your positions, have we looked at reducing the capital structure of the whole school district? If your enrollment's declining, the first thing I did when my volumes dropped, I had to reduce costs commensurate with that. I didn't have any way of raising revenue. I only had the revenue from my business. So I look at all of you and I say, have you looked at all of your infrastructure here? If you've got a declining enrollment and your costs are going up, then I think there's something wrong. I think that should be reduced, and you should look at that. I know that a couple of times before in the past, when these things happened, schools were consolidated, there was items that were closed. I think there's an awful lot of, I don't have an inventory of all of your buildings and all of your structures, but I got to tell you that I think if your enrollment's dropping by any volume at all, you should be looking at those costs dropping, not raising our taxes. I've lived at my house for 31 years. My taxes now are more than my house payment was, and that's crazy. And it's going up again. I just got my house reappraised, and maybe some of you have as well. I know some here in the crowd surely have, and that's why they're here. My property was raised another $47,000. I have no intention of ever leaving my property, but I can tell you that if my taxes keep going up for craziness, that I'm going to have to move out of my house, and I think something is definitely wrong with that in today's society. Am I out of time? Oh, I still got a minute. So I don't really have any others, but I'd sure like to see a list of all of our assets of the Council Bluffs School District and look at those and say, okay, where is I know that you closed one in Crescent a while back, but I still think that there's an awful lot of opportunity here that you guys could reduce costs instead of raising our taxes. I sure don't want to move out of my house because my taxes go up I don't have children, but hey, my children were here. They had a good education here. But today, I'm just telling you, these taxes are just going up crazy and crazy and crazy. And again, I have no intention, I'm not a speculator in real estate. But I want to stay in my house. But if my taxes keep going up like this, I'm going to have to move out. And I think that's craziness. I've worked hard where I'm at. And I have a beautiful place, but it deserves that. And I don't deserve to have my taxes raised so that we can have other situations in this city that I think are unfair. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I just want to get up here and second the motion for him.
Please, go ahead.
I just wanted to get up here and second the
Name
motion for him.
Name and address, please.
Huh?
Name and address, please.
I don't care to give that up. I don't care to answer that.
Hi, my name is Jim Maurer. I live at 520 Voris Street, Voorhis, of course, here in Council Bluffs. So I'm in the same kind of situation the gentleman that just spoke was. Our problem being retired people, I hear you referring to the 2.3, whatever percent we got increase on Social Security. As being a retired person living on my Social Security, there are a few problems with that. Okay. Appraisals, my appraisal's gone up. I moved back to Dallas, or back here from Dallas in 2014. My appraisal's gone up over 50%. That's after fighting it and getting it lowered over 20,000. I'm only $150,000, well, it was $90,000 house when I bought it. So it's over 140 or 135 now, going to be 150 by the next year appraisal, which another 10%. My taxes have doubled, my property insurance has tripled, my car insurance has tripled. I know those things are not in your hands, but you talk about our Social Security going up, say 2%, y'all are only taking 1% of that. But it's already been taken 25 times, 40 times, 50 times over by other taxes, other costs, groceries. We don't have half of our Social Security increase to give to you guys, for those of us on a limited budget. The gentleman said it perfectly. Where am I going to go? I'm basically going to have to sell my house, then I'll be falsely with a big wad of money in my pocket for a few years to live on. Then where do I go? I'm probably going to be a ward of the state. That doesn't do anybody paying taxes any good. It's ridiculous. Y'all are breaking us. You guys, not alone, no. All the taxes, the entire state, city, county. Who am I missing? There's one more in there. States. Well, no, insurance is part of what's killing you guys, I know. But we don't just have an extra 1% to give everybody. And as he said, declining enrollment. Wow, time to suck up, not spend more. I feel, first off, that seniors should get more of a break, and we really shouldn't have to be paying anymore. Okay, I realize I was gone, but we can't afford to pay our whole lives for school, I don't think. I had a personal incident recently at Iowa Western. I went out there to see if I could get a defensive driving class. It was $125. I got what I needed online for $25, trying to get insurance reductions. I sat 6 hours online and took a course. So how does that pay out? And we're paying for that. And I'm out of time, I know, and thank you guys. Appreciate you listening.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. James Wassel, 2200 Avenue F. I moved out here in November of 2022. Got married. We have 2 kids now. We're doing pretty good. I'll just start off with this. The ratings on the Council Bluffs schools in Iowa aren't anything I guess I would be looking at as a as a father with 2 kids who will potentially be in the public school system in the future as something I would want to put my kids in. We're looking at the best: Lewis Central High School, 7 out of 10, Hoover Elementary School, 7 out of 10, and then it just goes down from there. Lewis Central Middle School, 6 out of 10. I was public schooled in Howard County, Maryland, one of the best school systems in the country. Their fiscal 2025 teacher salary, base salary is $60,000, which isn't that significant above what Iowa's base salary is for its teacher salaries. However, the cost of living is almost 50% greater than it is in Iowa. So I think the idea that we're just going to buy quality teachers and a quality education in Iowa is just ridiculous. We need to fix a lot of the underlying problems in the school system, such as like over-administration, lack of resources for the teachers to administer discipline to students. Just a story, it was the last school year, we have a group of middle school students from Lewis Central Middle School that walk by, or I believe that's the middle school. The middle school on Avenue G that walked by our yard. They always cause trouble after school. My wife would have to yell at them a couple times. Wasn't ever a big deal. One day, there was a kid getting his head kicked in our front yard, and that my wife had to go out and scream at them to get out of their yard. The parent later came by and thanked my wife for yelling at them and that it didn't escalate any further than that. We didn't file a police report, but it was kind of a shock for both of us that, we have students walking through our yard, beating the crap out of other kids in our yard. That's not a great reflection on the values that are being instilled in the schools. So we're over here advocating for a higher tax for approximately $1.5 million more in proposed tax. Because of the insurance rates increasing, that's understandable. However, it also mentions due to low enrollment. I have 2 kids. Iowa offers, supplementary assistance for private education. You think I'm going to be sending my kids to any of the public schools here in Council Bluffs until that's fixed? And then you want to advocate for a higher tax rate that my kids aren't going to these, they're not going to be going to the public schools until I see like a vast improvement over this. And going back to, I came from Maryland. Maryland paid their teachers less and didn't have these problems. So something's up here. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, James.
Well, James Wassel is a hard act to follow because he was one of our candidates for county board this year, and he did a fantastic job. Anyway, my name's Chris Reiser, 104 Happy Hollow Boulevard, and I want to make 2 points, so I'll try to be quick. First of all, as far as your report card, just right now, I would like to relate a very, very quickly an experience that came to me front and center in person at Iowa State University in 2010. I took my son, who was a prospective Iowa State University student, to a recruiting event at Iowa State University. And Iowa State had a question-answer form where they had their top 5 students in all of Iowa State University were sitting up on the podium answering questions from prospective students all over the world. And this was about a 50-minute question-answer series. And at the very end, the host of this event, there were about 500 people in the room. I was a parent, and I had my prospective student with me. About 500 people were there. And at the very end of the event, the host said, now I want each one of these 5 top students to introduce themselves, their major, and where they're from. So they were from all over the world, just top students. And at the very end, very tall, handsome guy stood forward, and he says, architectural engineering, Abraham Lincoln, Council Bluffs. And I was so proud. My heart just went like this. So I know a lot of people say that we aren't doing everything right, but believe me, we do some things really right. And my second point is I'm pretty much like everybody else in this room. Our taxes are going up and up, and we're simply asking you to try to budget and hold the line on additional expenses, because I just wrote out a check for $3,000 on the 31st of May, and I didn't really want to do it, but there's, the 3 main taxing bodies on the homeowner. That's your Douglas County Board, or your Potawatomi County Board, that's the city of Council Bluffs, and then the last one is the school board. And I would like to ask a question. I read someplace where, and I want somebody to correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe tell me afterward, I believe I read 39 cents of every property tax dollar in the city of Council Bluffs, goes to Council Bluffs Public Schools. And I don't know if that's the right amount or not. And if you can't answer back, maybe somebody can tell me later on. But I just want to echo what the other people are saying. We're just asking you to be reasonable, use common sense, and please respect us, all who are paying for it, because we're behind you 100%.
Thank you, Chris.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Kerrigan. I live at 130 East Orchard Avenue. I want to thank you all for listening to our comments. I know that you wouldn't be here if you didn't care about education, and I think I try to keep that in mind as we look at this. But there's a couple of things. I think the gentleman that talked about running the business had a very good point, because when I looked at information to try and come in informed, right, to say, okay, what are we looking at here, it was very difficult to find that information. I was really disappointed that your auditing reports are not up to date, because it was 2021, I think was the last one that's listed. So if a person's looking at your auditing reports to try and figure out at least what were some of the recommendations in the past, it's impossible to get to. So I would challenge you that maybe that's one of the things that could be fixed before the next meeting, so we can come with informed information for those of us that like to work on facts. I think the other part that hearing, I understand the 2% that the governor just passed and why the low enrollment is affecting you. But the reality of it is that if there is low enrollment, that does cause an impact on the bottom line. I think as educators, right, because I think everybody here is in education, I think the challenge would be everybody here is looking at increased expenses, our property taxes, exactly. Things for everybody in this room are going up more than 16%, right? But we don't get to go to anybody else and say, I need more money. We have to figure out how to make that work on limited incomes, et cetera. And wouldn't the greatest educational challenge be to figure out you just can't keep asking for more money. The challenge then is, educationally, how do we make this work, right? And I don't know. Like I say, I think the gentleman with the business background there has got some really good points. It's hard to speak on things we don't fully understand. And understanding this multi-million-dollar budget is hard for someone like me. However, there are some common sense things, and I would think setting the tone of just because our insurance rate go up 4%, yours only went up 4% because I'm Brett and everybody else, and yours went up a hell of a lot more than that. That doesn't equate to the 16%. Everybody's expenses have gone up. The challenge is, how do we make that work with the budgets we have? So I think that's really all I have to say. Thanks for letting me take to you.
Thanks, Sharon.
I was just, my name is Robert Donahue. I live over on 423 Stutzman Street in Council Bluffs. Like my friend Jim said, we're both on Social Security. My Social Security went 2.3%. And from this piece of paper, I see your current property tax is 42.2 million. And you want to make it go up to 43.7, that's a 1.5 million increase, which 3.57%, that's more than my Social Security. I just wanted to point that out. And I also wanted to commend you. You guys are all working on the board and you don't get paid. That's great. I appreciate your public service. I got this from the assessor's office. It says my property values is going up. It went up 20% in 2022, 2023, and now they want to kick it up 11.2% more, 11.2%. So, and like I said, the insurance, but I don't really have a whole lot to say about that. I was going to mention the employment of the students are down, or the number of students in the Council Bluffs school districts is down. But it was a year and a half ago, the governor signed a bill that's the money now goes with the students. The state money goes with the students. It should be the school district's thing to encourage children to go to the Council Bluffs schools. I know it ain't a big deal. My one daughter lives in Carson, Iowa. They don't have a choice out there. They're going to go to the public school. But they really enjoy the schools out there, I know that. So there should be some encouragement for these children to go to these schools. I'm a school bus driver as a part-time job. I see a lot of rowdiness on them buses. I just wanted to mention that. I know I'm not going to get any feedback from you, but we have to do something with the enrollment, especially with the new state laws. It looks like something that might happen over the next few years in more and more states. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. Anybody else wish to speak to the board and the populace tonight?
One sentence.
One sentence, you got it.
I'm trying to say this for reasons, I don't think some of you are understanding, they're not asking for like a 16% increase. It's like 1%. I mean, none of this, y'all didn't speak about any of this tonight. And I guess I'm past the sentence, I could try to drag it out. But I think there's a lot of misunderstandings, but it's still a lot of money, is what I want to say. On y'all's behalf, it is a small percentage, not like 16, and somebody said something about 40 or something, and, you know, we've heard some very wrong numbers. And I know y'all, I guess, can't really answer as those go. I wish you could. But, and again, thank you for all your volunteers, and I know the person who's paid also works very hard.
Thank you. There's no more further public participation?
I'd like this, you know, everybody's
I need you to come up, sorry. Just need to come up and state your name and address, please.
I'm Mike Kerrigan, 130 East Orchard. But I'm sure I wasn't the only one experienced an increase in value this year, right? I mean, look at you guys. You probably had to suck it up this year too. Mine went up 22%, almost 23% in value. Well, that's going to raise my taxes. Now you're raising my mill levy. You guys are going to have a windfall anyhow, just from people's increase in values. Why would you need to jack up the mill levy?
They can't answer you, but that's.
But anyhow, something to think about, okay?
Yep, understood, thank you.
Right, it's gonna be, but they might need it now.
And it went up last year. It goes up every year.
I know. Hey, I'm right with you.
Okay, last call for public participation. All right, public participation is now closed. We will move on with our meeting tonight. And that brings us to our superintendent's report. Dr. Murillo.
Thank you, Mr. Tripp. I'd like to invite Ms. Comine to the podium. At this time, we're going to receive our annual district career and academic plan that we reference as the DCAP. This is a state requirement according to Iowa code. And Ms. Comine, I think we have a guest with us this evening, so the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening, President Tripp, Vice President Patrick Peters, and other members of the board.
Good evening.
I appreciate the opportunity to introduce our Coordinator of Career and Technical Education, Kathy Schmedding. She is going to be presenting our District Career and Academic Plan, which is our district plan, but then also share information regarding individual career and academic plans that each of our students have the opportunity to experience in our district. So with that, Kathy? My uncle, he has to clap. Okay, thank you, Ms. Comine, and thank you to the board for allowing me to come again to share some of the good happenings in our secondary schools surrounding career and academic planning. Our career and academic plan is connected to Strategic Goal 2, which is guaranteeing each student graduates with a high school diploma and a second credential. Tonight, you will hear more about how our secondary programs support Goal 2 and some of the work that brings Diploma Plus One to life. Our purpose for tonight's presentation is to provide context surrounding the District Career and Academic Plan. You'll often hear me refer to it as DCAP. Share our annual goals and outcomes. And lastly, provide steps in submission and evaluation this year. As I shared last year, House File 2392, which focuses on career and academic planning, outlines this annual process that provides school districts the opportunity to review and update their plans. This plan is then submitted for resolution to the board approval at a subsequent meeting. The legislation identifies 3 key targets: developing a system of best practice, implementing holistic and an integrated approach, and then conducting that annual review that brings me here tonight of the district plan in collaboration with all stakeholders. This process ensures continuous improvement in how we support our students in their career and academic journey. The DCAP is just that. It is a plan. It's our district's comprehensive framework of events and experiences that promote thoughtful and intentional planning for all students. The individual career and academic plan, or the ICAP, is the work, a student's personalized, ongoing collection of career exploration, reflection, and planning activities. Both the DCAP and the ICAP are structured around 5 essential components of self-understanding, career information, career exploration, post-secondary exploration, and post-secondary and career decision-making. Also, embedded within the ICAP is career-connected learning opportunities, which were highlighted during a recent board presentation given by Ms. Comine. In addition, all students receive financial aid advisement as part of their post-secondary decision-making process. These components are what bring our D+1 to life, empowering students to develop personal plans and gain meaningful exploration, experience, and education beyond high school. The plan is integrated across multiple facets of programming, and students are supported in each step of their educational journey, from building-wide advisory lessons that provide a universal tier of support, to individual student meetings, which our students participate in one-on-one meetings with their school counselors, our career and technical education curriculum, which is often a conduit to our +1 pathways, and then our district-wide post-secondary planning activities, such as family nights, career fairs, career readiness week, college decision day, FAFSA completion nights, college visits, and much more. All of this is integrated in a collaborative effort between staff and stakeholders to elevate post-secondary success. And some of these pages are an example of our DCAP coming to life that will come to you shortly for approval. Each year, the DCAP is evaluated by our partners at the Green Hills AEA. And to provide some context, as we discussed last year, in the 22-23 school year, the state introduced a redesigned evaluation process that implemented a rubric-driven Likert scale for measurement. This method was applied after the required submission deadline, and despite the mid-process change, as you can see, our district plan scored a 20, which was above our regional averages of 17.7. Again, in the 23-24 school year, the Iowa Department of Education's Career and Academic Planning team has revised the evaluation process post-submission similar to the previous cycle. But as you can see in our scores, despite the ongoing shifts of the evaluation tool and metrics, our district's DCAP has remained consistently strong, exceeding regional partners' average year after year. This reflects our commitment to quality, adaptability, and continuous improvement. As I shared last year, the 23-24 goals had 4 key goals, starting with our North Star of increased Diploma +1 completion and expanded work-based learning. And as you know, our class of 2023 graduated with an 87% completion of a high school diploma and a second credential, and we more than doubled our work-based learning experiences with 1,291 total experiences. Our second goal was around strengthening our Business Advisory Council, which we worked as an intentional team to provide outreach to our industry leaders, and as a result, we saw a record high at our fall advisory meeting, and due to this shift, you'll hear more about the work that we have done this year. Our third goal revolved around our Diploma +1 meetings and CTE recruitment, where every high school student now receives a one-on-one meeting fall and spring with their school counselor, and our high school CTE teachers have developed targeted recruitment and retention plans to help support our Diploma Plus One pathways and personalized student planning. And lastly was the launch of our new pathways in biomedical sciences and our aviation courses. As you can see, over the past 3 years, our efforts haven't just evolved, but they've built upon each other, growing in depth and in impact. For the 24-25 school year, our focus continues to deepen in those 4 key goals, starting with our North Star of Diploma Plus One completion and increased work-based learning. We have utilized our Business Advisory Committee as a strategic partner in career and academic planning, implementing intentional student reflection, and then the launch of our new middle school, college, and career exploration labs. I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, as much of this information has been shared with you previously, but I do want to highlight the positive trend in both Diploma Plus One completion and increased work-based learning experiences. Our momentum is strong, and we are well on our way to meeting our goal of 90% completion of our senior class of a Diploma Plus One high school diploma and a second credential. Our second goal was to utilize our Business Advisory Committee as a strategic partner. As you all have heard this year, the Iowa School Performance Profile has recently changed its Post-Secondary Readiness Index to include 3 key metrics of post-secondary credit or concurrent enrollment, work-based learning, and industry-recognized credentials are referred to as IRCs. With these changes, we saw an ideal opportunity to leverage our CTE experts and our business advisory partners, and we intentionally engaged them in deeper conversations around work-based learning experiences and identifying relevant IRCs that align with both student interests and the workforce needs of our community. During our fall business advisory meeting, we reviewed our career and technical education curriculum across all pathways and identified the natural entry points for embedded work-based learning experiences. And from these conversations, we developed several innovative industry partnership projects and identified high-value IRCs that align with local workforce needs and will better prepare our students for high school and beyond. Some of our valued partners include Chamber of Commerce Kitchen Council, Heartland Child Development, Advanced Southwest Iowa, KMTV Channel 3. Special thanks to President Tripp for the connection to Council Bluffs Public Library, The Best Wrestler, and our own Ann E. Nelson Early Learning Center. Now, most of the photos on this slide speak for itself, but these are some of the highlights of the projects from this year. Our culinary interns who participated in the Iowa Western Black Tie, which is their annual fundraiser event. We had high school students who participated in early literacy at the Ann E. Nelson Early Learning Center. We had the app development project in conjunction with the Council Bluffs Public Library. The 2 photos with the green screen, and as you can also see, that is Zach Williamson at the Schools Foundation luncheon. He was our MC. He's a proud Thomas Jefferson graduate, and he's a member of our Business Advisory Committee, where he has graciously worked with our broadcasting students at AL and TJ. Not only were they allowed to go and tour the news station with him, he has been coming back, you can see him here in this photo, working with both broadcasting programs, LPTV and Swarm TV, to provide industry feedback. And then lastly, the Wrestling Foundation logo was a student design from our Marketing Career Topics class, and it's one of the logos in the final design for the Best Wrestler campaign in conjunction with Advanced Southwest Iowa. Our next key goal this year was to build intentional reflection in all stages of career and academic planning process, from self-understanding to decision-making, because we believe it's not only important for students to know what they enjoy, it's equally valuable to uncover what they don't, and most importantly, why. So to support this, we had district-wide strategies, embedded reflection across student experience, starting with our school counselors, who collaborated to identify opportunities for reflection within advisory lessons, district-wide post-secondary planning activities, and those one-on-one individual meetings in fall and spring. And then our career and technical education teachers partnered with our district work-based learning coordinator, where they introduced a standardized student feedback survey following each career-connected learning event. This reflection tool is now used in our middle schools, our high schools, and all outside of school experiences. So by embedding the intentional reflection and that full continuum of planning, students are better equipped to make more informed, meaningful decisions about their future pathways. And lastly, as you all know, our middle school college career exploration labs opened this year. This elective is required for all 6th through 8th grade students and provides a multitude of activities from our Paxton and Patterson College Career Readiness Labs to our monthly guest speakers, who we have featured in here, Board Member Kozire, who graciously came to our 6th graders at Kern and spoke with them. And then our College Career Readiness Curriculum Zello, and this is all completed monthly. These courses for our 6th through 8th grade students are providing choice and exploration to prepare them for high school and beyond. So our next steps, as I said, I'm here tonight to share with you our information to the board. This will include submission to the Green Hills AEA towards the end of the month. And then lastly, the evaluation of our plan will be conducted over the summer in conjunction with the Department of Education and our regional planning partners to provide review for the annual year 25-26. Any questions?
I don't have a question as much as a comment. Ms. Schmedding, my son is an 8th grader at Kern Elementary, and I also have a daughter at College View Elementary, and he is just now starting down this path, and he developed his individual career and academic plan. He got a letter from his advisor. His advisor met with him and talked to him through his the elective for the careers. He has decided that he would like to go on the engineering path, which he was not looking at before, and he's really enjoyed that class. And I feel so fortunate that I'm almost a part of what's going on, because he is going through this, and everything that you've talked about is a touch point that he has had. And I'm so impressed, because when I was in high school, I didn't have any of that. I didn't know what I wanted to do when I got to college, and he is being prepared. And also, my daughter at College View spent a day at Iowa Western at the career fair, and she was able to talk to a veterinarian, which she was already kind of interested in, and I'm so excited for her to get to Kern Middle School and experience the elective that he has and go down this exact same path. So I do want to commend you for how prepared our students are going to be for life outside of school. And it's really a great opportunity. So thank you so much for all the work that you've put into this, because it means the world to me as a parent and also as a board member. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, it was great to see all those 5th graders there today. I thought a lot about this presentation and how they're our future. So thank you.
I mean, I would just like to second that it's great. This is always one of my favorite presentations every year, is when we talk about DCAP. I think I probably sound like a broken record. I think I mention this every time, but just that fact that I remember when I first came onto the board, and when we talked about the Diploma Plus one and that second credential, and I thought it was a little vague at first. I went, why with this credential? But it's such a wide swath of different credentials that we offer, between, possibly getting as much as an associate's degree to, students that are getting welding certificates and really trade-focused certificates. Is there a, along with, sorry, I guess I do have a question baked into my comment, sorry. You talked about that each year you guys review the actual curriculum to make sure everything's, is there any exploration for additional certificates that might have been released in different trades that, for possible future either trade works or other pathways that we want to explore? Is there a search of additional industry recognized credentials?
Yeah, we work together with Dr. Matthews and her team as well, just to see what's available at Iowa Western and within our planning process of our career and technical education programming. So
awesome, thank you. And I know my daughter at Hoover, she's only in 1st grade, but she's very excited about anything robotics related, and so that's what I'm keeping an eye on, anything tied to robotics. But thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else from the board? Angela, very well put. There's nothing more I can say to that. It covered everything I wanted to say and more, so thank you.
I was taking notes and, yep, we did that, and it just,
It's nice to hear it in action.
Thank you, Ms. Schmedding. 87%?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, no, 1,000 students.
And now I'd like to invite Dr. Matthews to the podium. Dr. Matthews tonight is going to share an update, and she also has a special guest with her to share an update on the grading work groups.
Thank you, Dr. Murillo, and good evening. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Melissa Chalupnik, our Director of Professional Learning, tonight. She has really been a masterful facilitator and communicator around our grading work groups and the processes that she's engaged the teams in. So I'm very grateful for her leadership and excited for you to hear more about the work that the group has done. So I will turn it over to Melissa Chalupnik.
Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you for the opportunity for me to share the work of our group. I'll start with the why we decided to create our work groups. Why was there a need? So over the past couple years, grading questions and concerns just have surfaced more frequently. And there was a need to review our current program. Although there have been intermittent reviews at various levels, we haven't had a full K-12 review of the current grading program. And at the heart of the why is what's referred to as mission drift. And this occurs when institutional memory has faded and we've gotten away from the original core values on which our system was originally built. And that can cause some misunderstandings of practices. So after considering these factors, a comprehensive review of our grading system was initiated. Before any work could be done, we needed to collect some data on our current system from all of our stakeholders. So an initial survey was given to administrators, teachers, parents, and students to elicit perceptions and opinions to give us a better understanding of the scope of the concerns. So the responses indicated that a closer look was needed. Dr. Murillo reached out to an outside consulting firm, HYA Associates, to start a program review of part of our grading system. As part of the review, they conducted individual listening sessions and interviews with stakeholders to gather feedback. After they finished with their completed work, they did provide Dr. Murillo a report in October with a recommendation to revisit our current grading system. Shortly after the meeting with HYA, Dr. Murillo did share the final grading report with staff and indicated that we would pursue the recommendation to revisit our grading philosophy and practices. A plan was developed to create a K-5 and a 6-12 work group. A timeline was also established, along with a plan to communicate the formation of the work groups. Communication about the work groups, along with an application, was shared with all certified staff and administrators. And that was done in early January with the goal to form groups that represent a variety of buildings, areas, and subgroups across the district. In mid-January, participants were selected, and our first meetings got underway the last week of January. For the groups worked together, we spent time reviewing the final report and identifying strengths and opportunities for our current system. In conjunction with the report, we spent time reviewing best practices in grading. It was important that we remained grounded in this research as we worked through our current guide and proposed revisions. Our work started with confirming our philosophy and beliefs for grading, and then from there, each work group worked collaboratively through each part of our guide. Our work group started with confirming our philosophy and, in the event there was a desire for rewording or a change, we based our decisions on consensus. We felt that was important instead of a majority vote because we wanted everybody to make sure that they were comfortable with some of the changes that we decided to make. Along with reviewing our current guides and the final report indicating that there was a need for communication and clarity for all stakeholders, we determined it would be beneficial to have an educator guide and a guide for families. Communication both within the groups and to the teachers and administrators was important to us. After each meeting, I shared an email with the work group recapping what was done, our talking points that we would share, and then any homework or next steps before our next meeting. Then at the end of the work group weeks, I sent a general email to all staff and administrators sharing the progress that we had made. That brings us to our next steps. We just finished our last work group meeting and are prepared to share our recommendations with Dr. Murillo very soon. After receiving feedback, we'll make adjustments if necessary. And then once we have a plan in place, we'll move forward and I'll finalize our drafts and start the implementation phase. After all of our products and processes are formalized, I'll begin creating a video that will be facilitated at buildings in August during our Professional Learning Day. It's critical that the messaging is clear and consistent, so the facilitated video will provide a uniform message. And in addition, it can be reviewed each year to minimize that mission drift. For parent and student communication, I'll be working with Dr. Matthews, school leadership, the communications team, to create a plan on how to best share with our information with our families. Before I close, I just want to pause here and thank the teachers and administrators that comprised our work groups. They spent a great deal of time thinking through processes and practices that keep students at the center of our work. And although their names will be included in the guide, I wanted to recognize them here as well. I'd be happy to address any questions at this time.
For clarification, why did we separate the groups K through 5, 6 to 12?
Yeah, so very different grading systems. Our elementary works on a 1, 2, 3, 4 scale for grading about student progress, and the secondary uses letter grades and just some different ways of grading from both K-5 to 6-12.
In the implementation state, you mentioned August 25th, or August, there was going to be the day of learning. We're going to go through that. Is there any plans for additional either coaching or availability of the work group for if there's questions, concerns, issues from the teachers after implementation?
Absolutely. It's not something we had discussed as a work group, but certainly I know Preston is one of our members here, and he's probably like, sure, I'd love to. Yes, our work group members would be more than happy to provide just some support if there were questions. We're also planning on sharing this with principals prior to the Professional Learning Day, so they'll just kind of be ready to present it as well if they have any questions. Yeah.
I do appreciate, I know this was on Dr. Murillo's radar for a while, and it was something that I heard from the community that they wanted some clarification on. So I do appreciate that this was something that our district has brought up.
And I also, to kind of piggyback on that, Angela, is having a family for, instead of it just being a guide that we give our teachers and educators, but helping bridge that communication with our families as our students move from the K-5 to the 6-12. It is a different jump and kind of some different philosophy around that. So it's really great to have that for our families to be able to understand.
Absolutely. The team felt very strongly about that in the past, you're right, families just had to look at what the educators looked at, and there wasn't a lot of explanation. So we have created guides that will just give our families more information about grading.
Any other questions or comments for Melissa? Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Shlupnik. Thank you, Dr. Matthews. Okay, that ends our superintendent's report and brings us to our business section of our meeting tonight with resolutions. First up on our resolutions, we have approval of the Green Hills Area Education Agency MOU. Is there a motion?
I move that the board approves the Green Hills Area Education Agency MOU for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any discussion regarding this MOU? Seeing as there is none, Mrs. Straussky, please call the roll.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
And the motion carries. Next up, we have approval of the Council Bluffs Education and Board of Directors Agreement 2025-2026.
I move that the board approves the agreement between the Council Bluffs Education Association and the board as presented.
I will say.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second from Mr. Peters. Sorry. Any discussion regarding this resolution? Please.
I know that Preston was here tonight to, thank the committees that worked, but I also want to thank you for your leadership. And I don't know if you know, Mr. Vorthman plays a real leadership role in our district, and I'm very thankful to have him here. He's one of our science teachers for 8th grade at Wilson, and he also serves on the superintendent roundtable. So I value your voice and your leadership and everyone that served on the committee. I was worried about the timeline, and you guys did a great job, so thank you.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mrs. Straussky, please call our roll.
Mrs. Greiner?
Yes.
Ms. Myers?
Yes.
Dr. Ozello?
Yes.
Mr. Tripp?
Yes.
Mr. Kozire?
Yes.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Ms. Hardeman?
Yes.
And the motion carries. The agreement is approved. Great work again. Congrats on everybody with that. Fantastic work, everybody involved with the negotiations. I know it's been a long process, but I'm happy to see that we have come to a consensus for resolving. Do we need to go back in the close?
No.
And that ends our meeting for tonight. We are adjourned.